Welcome to Centerpoint's Dive In with Matt and Joe.
In this podcast, we're filling in gaps and diving deeper into topics and passages related to the Sunday messages at Centerpoint Church.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Joe. Let's dive in.
Well, here we are, yet again, another edition of Dive In with Matt and Joe. And I'm glad to have you along for the ride. So welcome in, Joe.
Hi. It's good to be here with you. All right.
Psalm 23, we are continuing the meander.
Yeah, we meandered to a scary place here.
Yeah, all this stuff. I mean, there's, like we said on Sunday, there's green pastures. There's quiet water.
Right? I want those
Restoring
things.
my soul. Thank you.
Yep.
Even leading across right paths.
Come on.
He leads me.
But then he's going to lead us into
And then we find ourselves, even though I walk through the valley of deep darkness.
The shadow of Ra.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I will fear no evil because you are with me. Yeah, and I do, and I brought this up in the message, but I do love that turn into the second person.
Yes.
You in the moment of fear, suffering, struggle, kind of whatever version that takes.
Mm-hmm.
In that moment of the deep darkness,
Yeah.
you are with me.
Mm-hmm. That's the gift. His presence.
Yeah.
His presence with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the gift.
Yeah, and you only use that second person when that person is with you.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. The shepherd's right there. That's the gift, his presence.
Yeah.
And I love how you brought out that word translated as evil is actually the Hebrew word ra.
Yes.
And the nuance of that, pain, suffering, struggle, evil. Yeah, it was really well done. I think bringing that word out was really important because it really, for me at least, it broadened this particular part of this psalm as, that's what that means.
Yeah.
Oh, that's much bigger than what I thought that was.
Yeah, it's robust.
Very much so. And can that metaphor gets mapped onto all sorts of different situations in life. It's powerful.
Well, and while I had made the connection in the message and drew out what Ra is by looking back at Genesis, I don't think I made quite the even the strength of the connection, because part of what's happening with the shepherd is he is undoing the wilderness. Right? He's undoing the wilderness. So we have to live in the wilderness.
Yeah, that's right.
We're outside of Eden.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the good shepherd leads us into places where we get a taste of Eden.
Tastes, right? Yeah. Little micro tastes.
That's right. And so even because of his presence, I don't have to fear the Ra. Right? I ate from the tree of the knowledge of
Tov and
Ra.
Good and bad, or good and evil.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't have to fear the Ra.
Yeah.
So living outside of the garden, I still don't have to fear it.
Right, because the Tov shepherd, the good shepherd, is with you in the place of even Ra.
That's right.
Yeah, so what we're not talking about is I'm thinking about Paul in Romans, where he was accused of, some were saying, oh yeah, Paul teaches like we just kind of do whatever we want. Because when we do whatever we want and we sin, then God's grace just abounds even more. And Paul's like, hard pass, that's wrong.
Yeah.
By no means. Which is a really nice way to put it in the English. It's a lot stronger than that. But so we're not talking about that, but we are talking about the places of struggle, of pain, and honestly, even when we are responsible for those places, sometimes we're not. Sometimes it's the effects of living outside the garden. Sometimes it's the sin and wickedness of others. Sometimes it's just troubling, difficult circumstances. But sometimes we get ourselves into these valleys because of our own poor choices, right?
That's right. All of the above.
And the gift is the shepherd, and the gift is his presence. He is with us. So there's a lot more that could be said. However, you've got kind of a specific angle here that you're inviting us to take in this episode, and this theme of the valley, which I think is going to be a really fruitful endeavor for us.
Yeah, I think we want to try to explore biblical themes because it helps us touch down into the specific and see where it fits. And so the more I dug in preparation for that message, the more I'm seeing, well, there really is a valley theme throughout Scripture.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that out because there's mountain theme.
Yes.
That's a meta theme. Meta meaning from beginning to end. And now you're bringing us into, but the opposite of that's the valley. And there's actually a meta theme of the valley happening here too in the story. So bring us into it. Yeah,
and I think I continue to even flesh it out for myself. And one of the stops along the way, is another Psalm 84, 6. As they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. They go from strength to strength till each appears before God in Zion. And so it's setting up this notion of pilgrimage. And on the pilgrimage, we will go through valley. And that Baca is weeping. It's the valley of weeping. And so it's even the rains are the weeping. And yet it's talking about in redemptive ways.
Yeah.
Like springs or spring rains, right? So there's the falling of the tears of weeping.
Yeah.
But they also become a place of strengthening.
Okay.
And so that was just like one of those touch points that clues out this notion that a valley brings with it struggle. Yeah. Even the language, the valley of weeping.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be experienced along the pilgrimage, which is what Psalm 84 is talking about. And so even at the beginning of Psalm 84, how lovely is your dwelling place, Lord Almighty. My soul yearns and even faints for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living God. Even the sparrow has found a home, and the swallow a nest for herself where she may have her young. A place near your altar, Lord Almighty, my King, my God. Blessed are those who dwell in your house. They are ever praising you. And then blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose heart are set on pilgrimage. Like my heart longs to be in your presence, God.
Yeah.
And on this pilgrimage that brings there, we will pass through the valley of weeping.
Yeah.
And yet, even it's the weeping that produces strength.
Correct. And there's something too in here where, I'm thinking, I'm doing my best in this moment to think about it through the lens of an ancient Jewish listener or reader. And so they would have their annual pilgrimage to Jerusalem, capital city of ancient Israel. And that oftentimes in scriptures talked about, we will go up to Jerusalem.
Yes.
And so the very heart and center of Jerusalem in the ancient mind was the temple itself, Mount Zion. And so they even use kind of topographical language of going up. And so I think there's something really profound happening here in these verses that you're drawing us out, where in order to go up, you've got to... You're on flat land or maybe you're on lowland, and as you're making this journey, you're going up and down elevation-wise until you hit where you go up and ascend the mountain, Mount Zion, that the temple lies on in Jerusalem.
Yes.
And so in order to do that, part of what the psalmist is inviting us into here is this imagery of, in order to get to the top of the mountain, you've got to go through the valley first to make your way up.
Right. It is a part of the pilgrimage.
Exactly.
And yet God is not absent from that.
No.
Right? So there can be a sense of where God is on the mountain, and I'm the one who has to strive to get there where he is.
Mm-hmm.
But what we see is he is the God who comes off of the mountain and meets his people in the valley.
It brings them up.
He does, yes. I'm connecting even some of what you're saying here to Joel chapter 3.
Yeah.
Multitudes, this is Joel 3, beginning at verse 14. Multitudes in the valley of decision. That's just this notion of the valley. The valley becomes a place of decision and turning point. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. And the day of the Lord is this reckoning. Both catastrophic, cosmic, and redemptive. All wrapped up in one, right? The day of the Lord, which would be a great podcast at some point, just to even flesh out the day of the Lord with more clarity.
Yeah, it's rescue that he brings, that it's rescue through judgment. And so even the ancient Israelites, their first day of the Lord would have been the Exodus that they look back on and go, that was the day of the Lord.
Sure.
And then there's other days of the Lord throughout.
And so it's reflecting on that. So for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of judgment. So God's rescue is near, even in the valley, not the valley of judgment, sorry, the valley of decision. So over and over, it's called the valley of decision.
That's right.
The sun and the moon will be darkened and the stars no longer shine. The Lord will roar from Zion and thunder from Jerusalem. So that's what you're talking about, kind of that. Those are mountain pictures. The earth and the heavens will tremble. But the Lord will be a refuge for his people, a stronghold for the people of Israel. So just got done saying that we're in the valley. It's the valley of decision.
That's right.
The Lord thunders.
There's a reckoning happening.
The reckoning is happening from God himself.
In the valley.
But he is with his people.
Yep. So he's
drawing
thundering
them.
He's thundering from on high.
Yeah.
But he's with them in this moment.
I feel like we've got to have this on video. Joe and I are both like, we got our hands waving all over the place.
I mean, come on
we're
now.
up and down. We're mountains and valleys.
I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands all the time, but I'm liking
so
this, man. You're
we're
into
going
it.
to town in here. Yes, it's these things are being brought together because this is God's redemptive hand.
That's right.
And he is present in the valley of decision. And so this is one of the themes that we see is the valley of decision.
Yeah.
And I think Joshua 24 will even talk about in the valley Shechem, where
yes.
the charge is, choose you this day who you will serve.
That's right.
Comes in out of the valley. And so these valley places become places of testing and decision for us and for those who would journey through.
That's right.
Which is part of why they're necessary.
Correct.
Because we must decide.
Who will we follow?
We must choose.
Whose voice are we going to listen to? I think about David, who's penning Psalm 23.
Yes.
The climactic encounter with Goliath happens in a valley.
Yeah, 1 Samuel
the valley
17.
Of Elah.
Yeah, and that's no accidental geographical, topographical description for us.
No, it's not.
Going down into the valley.
Yep.
Which is where David meets Goliath.
And they were there for 40 days before David actually said, okay, fine, I'm going in for 40 days. So it's the number of testing. So we're not practicing numerology. We're actually looking at the theme of the number 40 in the Bible and how does it show up? Well, it's always a time of testing. So
right, because it wants us to notice that.
Correct, yeah. So we're coupling these two pieces of testing. So the valley and the number 40 in the David and Goliath story.
Yeah, keep going with that a little bit. Kind of talk a little bit more about that. So it's not only the place of testing and decision; it's the place where battles take place.
Correct. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous place. I think you brought this out really well in the message. The valley of deep darkness, the valley of Ra, is a place of danger. It's a place of reckoning. It's a place where battle happens. It's a place where it can sometimes literally be life or death, like here in this story with David and Goliath. It's a place where the evil spiritual forces thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a big deal here in this story. In the valley of Elah, this battle happens. There's also a valley, so we pick this one up in the prophets, but we also read about it historically in the book of Kings. And when I say historically, I just mean it's recounting the actual narrative of what happened, and the prophets are going to comment back on it. But the valley of Ben Hinnom, it gets translated into English as Gehenna. Gehenna. It's actually a contraction for the valley of Ben Hinnom. And it was a place, you can read about it in 2 Kings 23, and then Jeremiah in particular will spend time commenting on this. But the valley of Ben Hinnom, a.k.a. Gehenna, was a place where under the leadership of one of the kings of Israel, the Israelites actually offered child sacrifice to foreign idol gods and practiced gross injustice.
Yeah, it's hard to even put words
It is
to it.
It is. And why was this happening? Well, because the whole nation had been led astray into idolatry and injustice, so much so that not only are they now like the other nations, but they're worse than the other nations, the very nations that they were supposed to be a light to. And so the prophets will comment on this, in Jeremiah 7 in particular coming to mind, and he talks about how, listen, the valley where we as God's people sacrificed children to idol gods, killing our own, in that valley, when we are swept up in the judgment under the chaos waters of the enemy, the Assyrian and then Babylonian armies, and are taken into exile, we as a people will die in the very valley where we killed our own in sacrifice to these gods, because ultimately whatever god or gods you worship, you become. And all other gods other than Yahweh lead to death. So it's just really sobering. And this all in a valley. And so not only did they fail a test of trust, like this was the place where they were in partnership with evil spiritual forces masquerading as these idol gods, and they participated with them.
So its darkness is a complete darkness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, it is just sobering. It just kind of checks me up a moment.
Yeah, that's why I want to pause, because it is sobering. Because then it's contrasted with a different valley, and that is in Ezekiel.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
I was looking at you because I was like, I don't want to jump where you're going, but I have a feeling you're going to Ezekiel. Like, so just listeners, we're not working off the same notes. So this is real time. So go. This is so good.
It's the Valley of Dry Bones.
Come on.
And there's a song that we'll even sing a lot of times in our worship sets that talk about making those dry bones.
That's right.
Come alive.
Yep.
And
rattle, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mike, making it rattle. Mm-hmm. And so describe what's going on there.
Yeah, so this is to the prophet Ezekiel, and he's speaking to the people who are in exile. And God gives him this vision, where in this vision, God brings him into a valley filled with dry bones, like the epitome of death.
Well, yeah, and just the bones crunching under your feet.
Literally
like surrounding with it.
Yeah, he's just surrounded by death.
So I'll just read that in verse 1. The hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of the valley. It was full of bones. And he led me back and forth among them. I saw a great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were very dry. Right? So this is not fresh. This is like it's as dead can be. And he asked me, Son of man, that's what he called the prophet, Son of man, can these bones live? And I said, Sovereign Lord, you alone know. Is that what happens? Right?
He breathes the breath.
Breathes the breath.
Right. So even before that, though, he starts putting those bones together. They start rattling.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Watching that in this vision? Oh, my goodness. And then the sinews, tendons, muscles, skin. And then last but not least, he breathes the breath of life into them. And so think about who he's talking to. He's talking to the exiles in Babylon under the oppressive mega empire of the day, right? Like the worst of the worst. And they're without hope. And he's saying, you know what? In this place of utter death, Yahweh is going to cause a resurrection to happen, and he's going to make us new. And it's only something that he can do.
Yeah, and he's bringing life out of death. I'm looking at verse 11. Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the people of Israel. They say, our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are cut off. Right? You talk about the exile. Like, we're done. It finished. Game over.
Yeah, he's left us.
Therefore prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. My people, I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you, my people, will know that I am the Lord when I open your graves and bring you up from them. I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and you will and I will settle in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken and have done it, declares the Lord. Holy cow. And so what's coming into my mind, just even as I'm reading that right now, Joe, is when Jesus was crucified, and he breathes his last, graves break open. Like we go into that story of Jesus' death and resurrection, thinking he's the only one that experienced resurrection on the third day.
Matthew includes in his gospel.
Yeah,
and there were others.
So when it's done, and Jesus dies, then the earth shakes. The veil in the temple torn from top to bottom.
The sky is darkened.
Yep.
The stars fall. This is all cosmic language. You read it from Joel.
These Day of the Lord imagery.
Yep.
And then the graves break open and God's faithful people arrive. So, like, what a day. Like, imagine.
Right?
Like, you're just going, like, you weren't even involved in the crucifixion. Like, you heard the hubbub. Yeah, it was the guy that came in last week.
It was another failed prophet.
I'm just in the market. I got to feed my
family. It was another
family.
failed prophet.
Yeah.
We're stuck.
And so I'm aware of the hubbub. Everybody in Jerusalem was. But now you're seeing the weather change. You're hearing the thunder. And walking down the street is Uncle Eddie, who you buried last month. Right? So you got these people showing up who had the funerals.
And you're thinking, why did it have to be Uncle Eddie? Why couldn't
We're just assuming Uncle Eddie's the guy. But like a number of them, and not all of them, a number of them, because it's just here in the face of death, it's be reassured. This is where life comes. Like, there is life. There is life. Death is not the end.
Right.
There is life. And so the graves break open, just like Ezekiel 37 is talking about.
Bingo.
When I show up and when I bring life, the graves will break open. And so it was a sign. It was a sign. It wasn't the completion.
Nope.
But it was
not
a sign.
New heavens, new earth.
Yeah.
Resurrected bodies. Nope.
So anyway, that was one of the places that my mind went, just even reading Ezekiel 37.
Well, as it should. As it should, because this is how Scripture's designed. Like, this is why we do our best to remain faithful to teach the Bible the way that it was designed to be read, listened to, sat under, because this is what meditation literature does, right? So we're reading Ezekiel, and you're going, well, that reminds me of these things with Jesus. Yeah, of course, right? And even Jesus, so that even the night before he is crucified, so he's on his way after the Last Supper, on his way to the Garden of Gethsemane, and John's Gospel, chapter 18, first verse, talks about how he crosses the Kidron Valley on his way to Gethsemane. So it's just a little, like, it doesn't make a big deal about it, but it's a little incidental detail that's actually not incidental. It's there purposefully.
That's right.
Because he wants us to see, John's inviting us to see this theme that has been happening, and we see this in all the Gospels. It's been happening all throughout Jesus' ministry, where there's this pattern where he teaches on a mountainside. And so he becomes like a greater Moses, giving a new Torah, new instruction, new commands to a new people who he's forming, who he's gathering from all the nations. And then he goes down the mountain, and he's with the crowds, and he serves the crowds, and he's in the chaos of the crowds, and he brings 3 of his disciples up the mountain, and he's transfigured on the summit of the mountain. We've talked about that in previous podcasts. We went through the Gospel of Mark. And then he comes back down, and what does he come back down to?
The man possessed by a evil spirit.
Right. Like, so,
and his disciples couldn't cast it out.
There it is. And we even think about a little throwback. I brought up Moses. We even think about Moses up on the mountain, and he's receiving Torah. He's receiving commandments and instructions. And at the base of the mountain, so it's not called a valley, but it's at the base of the mountain. There are the Israelites constructing the golden calf, right? So just there's something that the Bible's inviting us spatially in our imaginations to be making these associations with, high mountaintop is this thin space of this overlap of heaven and earth, and is coincidentally where a lot of idols were worshipped on high places in the Old Testament, right? Mm-hmm. Because in the ancient imagination, this is how they conceived things. But then as you come down to the base, or if you go down to a valley, it's more associated with testing and danger, pain and struggle.
Earthy things.
That's right. And last time we checked, we still live outside the garden. So it's inviting us to see the contrasts of these things. And so here's Jesus then, right? He's passing through the Kidron Valley on the way to Gethsemane. In Gethsemane, he's arrested. It's a kangaroo court. He's put on trial. He's convicted. And then he's mocked. He's flogged. He's beaten. And then he's crucified. And he's crucified on Golgotha, which is a hill outside of Jerusalem. So here's the God-man killed on top of a hill. So a little mountain on top of a hill. And he is slain on a tree because it's made of wood, right?
Yep.
So that puts us back in the garden at the beginning of the story, where in the garden, Ezekiel talks about how the garden was on a mountaintop, this overlap of heaven and earth. And in the middle of the garden were two trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowing good and evil. So here's Jesus, the new tree of life. The blood and the water comes out of his side after he's crucified, flowing down on his feet, at like the river in Eden, flowing out into the four directions of the earth to nourish the earth. I mean, this is all here.
That's right. They're all hyperlinks drawing the story together, because the whole story, it's a unified story that leads to Jesus.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so here's Jesus, right? This place of death becomes the place where he brings life and resurrection,
which is the promise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Luke chapter 3, where it's setting up John the Baptist.
Ooh, read away.
Right, so he gives us the time and the parents during the priesthood of Annas and Caiaphas. The word of God came to John, son of Zechariah, in the wilderness. So it's coming online, the wilderness there. He went into all the country around the Jordan, preaching a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins, as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet. Mm-hmm. So we're drawing from Isaiah, but bringing it forward into what's happening now.
That's right.
A voice of one calling in the wilderness, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight paths for him. Every valley shall be filled in, every mountain and hill made low. The crooked road shall be made straight, the rough ways smooth, and all people will see God's salvation. And so I'm hearing you talk about these places. Jesus is the hills and the valleys, and he's bringing them together. Yep. The valleys are being filled in, the hills are being made low, heaven and earth being brought back together
through Messiah.
That is the day of the Lord, as promised. Isaiah looked forward to it. John is ushering it in. He's the doorman for this new reality breaking into our world. And of course, Jesus is the one who makes it happen.
There it is.
Where he himself is the one that binds heaven and earth back together in God's salvation. So all people will see God's salvation. And it paints for us this incredible picture of salvation is full and complete when it arrives on the scene. Mm-hmm. Valleys filled in, mountains made low, crooked paths made straight.
That's right.
And it's this fullness of life. Mm-hmm. And it's a reminder for us that nothing in the valley is wasted.
No, it's not.
The tears of the valley are not wasted. They don't save us, but we are being formed and shaped in the valley in such a way that we experience, walk in, are being led towards the salvation of our God.
Down into the valley where our weakness, vulnerability, can't fix it on my own, is all laid bare.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not around the valley. It's not, I fly over the valley.
Yeah.
I descend into the valley and I walk back up the mountainside to the top because he is with me.
Well, he's the one leading.
Right? And so this is Jesus is not only will he walk the valley with us, but he himself entered into the valley and carved the way forward. I'm thinking about Hebrews where he talks about he's the author and perfecter. Another translation will say he's the pioneer of our faith. What does a pioneer do? They go out into wilderness and they chart a way forward.
Well, that's right.
Right?
That's right. Because he knows the way through the valley.
Yeah.
Because he's been through this valley.
Bingo. So he doesn't just journey it with us and go, I don't know. Matt, I don't know.
I'm
Joe.
with you. We'll figure it out as we
Is it gonna
go.
work out? He's like, no. I'm with you. And guess what? I've already trod this path before, and I have already made a way through death. Life will come.
Yeah. And so in the Philip Keller book, which it's
It's a good resource.
It is a good resource, and it kind of helps me better understand some of the stuff about being a shepherd and tending flocks and what sheep are like and that kind of thing. And so in this particular chapter in the Philip Keller book, A Shepherd Looks at Psalm 23, he's talking about a shepherd that knows the way through the valley and that there's actually a kindness in the way. So it's not a, hey, we're in this valley, everybody get out as quickly as you can, these sheer cliffs, that kind of thing. But the shepherd actually finds the gentle way through the valley. And there are some things that happen as a result of that. One is be assured it's the gentle way through. Secondly, in its season, it's where the water is. Now it's dangerous because if the spring rains hit too hard, then it will be a place of flooding.
Wadis.
But right now, it's dry outside of the valley, but there's some water in the valley.
Yep.
And just even the valley, and kind of think about the big V of a valley, it's forcing the sheep together, and particularly the ewes and lambs.
Oh, okay.
And so it's got to be slow. It's kind of forcing together, so it's much harder for a lamb to go wandering off into dangerous, wilderness kind of thing, because it's kind of keeping it close. And maybe even there are some older sheep that are a little bit slower, and it's keeping them in as a part of the flock that's moving together. And so there's even these little pieces. Like nobody would say the valley, man, that is the place you want to pitch your tent and hang out there. Like
Sure,
it's dangerous.
let's live in the valley.
It's dark. You don't want to stay there. But as the shepherd moves the flock through, there's goodness. There's kindness. There's gentleness. Sometimes we'll approach our life valley with resentment.
Oh, sure.
And God, why? Why me? But God is a good shepherd, and there is a kindness. There is a gentleness even into how he leads us through the valley. And even in the space where we're like, just get me out of this, you will move through it with a gentleness, and you will get to the other side where there is the goodness that I want for you. But we only get to the other side by moving through.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
we're going to take you a way that is... There's goodness in the way that the shepherd chooses in watching over his flock. And I thought that provided such good imagery of the way God leads us through valleys.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And they don't feel it in the moment. None of them really do.
No.
Right? And so there are moments where we're feeling like our life is being peeled.
Yep.
They are moments of death, whether it's our own death, or the death of those that we love.
Right? So literal death.
Mm-hmm.
There's also spiritual death.
Certainly.
Not in the final sense, but in the sense of like there's part of me that I had protected and I had built myself around, and that was being stripped away. And so that, I don't know how else to describe that, and that feels like a death of sorts.
Yeah.
A death of my an aspect of my old self that in his tender loving care, that actually needed to have a tombstone.
I'm better off without it.
It needed to have a
I
tombstone.
want it.
Right.
I
Because
wouldn't have given it up on purpose
exactly
by myself.
Exactly. But now new life comes, and now this is the journey of sanctification. This is what it is to walk with him.
Yeah. I think about folks who struggle with mental illness, and that is a dark valley.
Mm-hmm.
And the way is long and dark and scary. You think about mental illness, when we're going through hard things in our life, in our body, kind of tangible, physical, hard things, our mind is one of the things that we can rely on to get us through.
Yeah.
But when you're fighting mental illness, your mind lies to you. So the very thing you've been used to counting on, you can't count on.
Yeah.
And there's a darkness in that.
Yeah, there is.
And I think that's one of the reasons that we try to talk about that in a way that is helpful, not shaming. Where we recognize that we're in the flock together, and a healthy flock cares for the weakness of other sheep, however it shows up, with protective strength.
Yeah, that's well said.
So the shepherd is doing that, but honestly, as fellow sheep, like there is a care that we offer for each other. Because he's the one who knows the way through. And so he has walked this road, not necessarily of mental illness, but he knows what darkness is. He knows what it is to weep. He knows what it is to be betrayed. He knows what it is to experience abandonment. Just like he knows what it is to experience love. He was loved by Lazarus and the two sisters, Mary and Martha. As they welcomed into her home, it's a place that we get the sense he just loved being. So he knew those things. He knows the way.
He does know the way.
And the valley is going to show up in all kinds of ways. God is the one who brings his salvation even into the valley places, because he is leading us through the valley places, out of death into life.
That's right.
Out of the place of dry bones into bones that dance and become a vast army. And that is us. When left to ourselves and our own way, we are dry bones. And he is the one that calls these bones together. He rescues us, and he breathes his life into us. Says, look, now, my people. And we move forward together. And all the people will see God's salvation.
Amen and amen.
So if you're walking through valley these days, listening in, you're not alone. You're not alone. We are sheep together, being tended to by a good shepherd, and you're not alone. So feel free to reach out, share your story, and together we'll listen to the voice of the shepherd who leads us through on a path that he has walked before and joins us in as we walk through the valley.